Welcome, everyone, to the Aging and Spirituality podcast. This is where we talk about how boomers can explore their unrealized, highest possible life. So today we're going to explore the stories and wisdom of the baby boomer generation and how they envision the legacy that they want to leave for their kids and their grandkids and their families. I'm your host, Kathy Lee Taylor, and this is
Chris Jensen.
We welcome you. Thank you for being with us here today. We're going to talk about baby boomers. It's going to be inspiring. We're going to delve into how baby boomers have changed the world. This is something that I've been thinking about because I am a baby boomer. We're of that generation. And,
Yes.
how often do you really sit down and think about what happened in the world from the time that we were born till now? And how has our generation affected, changed, improved the world? And so I really got thinking about it, and this is where this talk is coming from. And I really found some interesting points. So stay with me. You're going to find it interesting too, I believe. The boomer generation really has changed the world from what I was able to ascertain. We've made some mistakes. There's no doubt about that. But there's also a desire from our generation to have a much more lasting impact on future generations. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. I discovered that baby boomers, they want to leave a legacy of love and values and security, like probably most generations already have, but they also want to pass on a vision for the future that encompasses a number of key elements. So I'm going to break them down for you, what those I would call them the top 6 things that researchers report are of real interest in terms of boomers leaving a legacy. The first one is love. Boomers often express their love through letters, heartfelt letters, sending them to their kids or to their grandchildren. They cherish spending quality time with their family and creating lasting memories. This is something that has gone on from generation to generation. What family doesn't love to do that? That hasn't changed, Most boomers say, I want my children to know how much I love them and how proud I am of them. If you're a parent, you sure as heck know what that feels like. Also, one of the things that boomers talk about is that the world becomes more tolerant and more accepting for their grandchildren, because that's something that, seems to be in jeopardy right now. Number 2 is values. Boomers are keen on passing their own value systems on to their grandchildren. They probably have already to their kids, setting a positive example, encouraging them to live aligned with their values. And
I will just tell you, as a baby boomer, both of these resonate with me. And that one particularly, when my daughter was little, there was a book called Free to Be, You and Me. And I really worked on that with her. And I find myself, my grandchild is only 16 months, but I find myself wanting to share those same kind of values with him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes. Nice. Those are good feelings. Boomers know that their generation has made some mistakes and they are keen to correct them. Number 3 is financial security. The importance of retirement savings becomes increasingly clear as we get older. It's not something you think about so when you're younger. When I was younger, I never worried about it, and that was not a good idea.
Yeah. We were the dropout generation,
We were when it came to money. Baby boomers emphasize the value of saving and investing money. They acknowledge that their generation prioritized saving for college more than they did for retirement, and didn't save enough money for things like emergencies, like a job loss or a medical expense. So they want their children to be educated about money earlier in life. I know that's one of the things that I feel strongly about in teaching my own child as well. And I it's funny because I parented him like that, but didn't do it for myself. So that's an interesting.
Yeah.
Our generation
do that too, don't we?
We're busy doing other stuff.
Right.
So boomers now value not living beyond their means, as this has contributed to the rising cost of housing and other expenses. This is something that we've learned over time. Climate change is another area that boomers feel they didn't pay close enough attention to. Okay, another one is achievements. Baby boomers love sharing their stories of success and failure with their kids and their grandkids, and they want to encourage them to pursue their dreams and celebrate their accomplishments, aiming to leave a legacy of financial security so that their kids can focus on their passions, which I think is different in this generation. I know my parents didn't think about that kind of stuff.
No, mine didn't either.
This is a new thing for our
Yeah.
generation
Yeah.
that we grew into.
Mm.
Number 5 was strong family relationships. Boomers feel like this is something that has been broken down and that we need to get back to. They want to leave behind a close-knit family that helps support each other, not kids that are, blown all over the world and don't even talk to each other.
Yeah.
They want to emphasize the importance of feeling loved and being accepted for who you are. That's interesting, right? Okay, and then number 6 is contribution, which I think is one that has a lot to do with this particular generation. Boomers believe we need to be more interdependent and give community, whether through charitable donations, volunteering, or mentoring young people. Our generation knows that what one person does affects the entire world. I know Chris and I have talked about this. We, even looking at the millennial generation, we can see that they know that, and they are reflecting those values back. Boomers know that the problems facing our younger generations and their role in creating these challenges, and we want to make sure that we have a better quality life for the next generation. So these aspirations are just the beginning of what boomers hope to pass on to the next generation. They want the younger generation to understand their unique place in the world, living aligned with a purpose, and become more interdependent and more loving human beings. So let's take a moment to explore how the world has changed during the lifespan of the boomer generation. This is a really interesting. I've spent a couple of days on this, just researching some of the raw data, but also thinking about, my own lifetime and the things that I've done and what really matters to me now. So here's some really interesting stats. Baby boomer generation has really witnessed some profound societal shifts. And one of the striking examples of this transformation is the rise in yoga in the Western culture. As of 2022, the United States population stood at 333 million. Approximately 36 million people are practicing yoga. So that represents 10% of the population. 1 in 10 people are practicing yoga. That's happened in the last 40 years. Globally, out of 8 billion people, there are an estimated 300 million people that are yoga practitioners, constituting about 4% of the worldwide population. So just put this into perspective. I thought back about, when we started the yoga center when the yoga started in 1970, and Kristen was in there a few years after that, and I came in like 82. It was the first yoga center in Orange County, California, in Costa Mesa. Today, this is a mind-blowing stat, there are over 48,547 yoga studios in the country. Think about it. From the one that we started in 1970 when we were the first here to 48,547 yoga studios in the country. That's over 100,000 yoga teachers are registered with the Yoga Alliance.
No.
That's mind-blowing. The Yoga Journal YouTube channel, I looked it up, it's got 2.28 million subscribers. So I would say it's fair to say that the boomer generation played a significant role in raising awareness about yoga and its benefits for a more quality life. We were part of that. I'm proud to say we were part of that. So here, what I did is I've been reading this book, and this is kind of a funny segue, but I'm going to tell you this story about this guy in this book, because he really does represent a big part of the culture that we were growing up in. He's really a prime example of the baby boomers who are really embodying that whole spirit of radical curiosity. His name was Ken Dykewald. And he's actually the guy that I mentioned the last time I was talking about Maggie Kuhn. He was the one that introduced me to her. Anyway, Ken Dykewald just recently, he's the founder of a company called Age Wave, and he focuses on the aging population. He wrote a memoir recently called Radical Curiosity, and it really offers a fascinating look at his life journey and the evolution of his generation. And I would highly recommend you reading it. I read it in a few hours, like 5 hours or something, because it just captured my attention. And I don't do a lot of book reading these days, but this one really caught my attention because this guy was born right at the same time we were. He was born in 1950s, right in the middle between you and me.
Mm.
And really, he encapsulates that whole essence of the baby boomer generation.
Mm.
So what he says about his path is that he really evolved from a pursuit of self to a pursuit of success to ultimately a pursuit of significance, which is kind of the pattern that he felt he followed when he was talking about in writing this book. He explores in the book the themes of aging, purpose, the importance of living a life driven by what he calls radical curiosity, which is, really being open and receptive to spirit. His journey took him from his working class roots in New Jersey. Chris will enjoy this. She was born in New York, to becoming a successful entrepreneur and a thought leader. He shares insights on how his perspective shifted from being self-centered successfully to a quest for understanding higher consciousness. His experiences at Esalen, which was really a part that fascinated me because I'd always heard about Esalen, but I'd never been there, right? But Esalen, in case you've never heard of it, is a place that's a center for personal growth up in Big Sur in California. And Esalen was a place that really was exposing the cultural shifts that were happening at that era. They were exploring encounter groups, doing lots of therapy, doing body work, doing yoga. They were listening to talks from people by like Alan Watts and Joseph Campbell and Baba Ram Dass. And while we were, ensconced in our relationship here in Costa Mesa, studying under a yoga master, they were up there doing some wild stuff.
Wild stuff. Yeah.
All the stories we heard were true.
Mm-hmm.
All the stories about the sex and drugs and rock and roll and the whole bit. It was all happening. So one of the really interesting parts about his story is when he finally, got through the free period of being with whoever they wanted to be with, and he decided he wanted to have a soulmate. He did find a woman that he married and lived with for his whole life. And the really cute part about their relationship was that they made a vow when they got married that they would get married new every year. And they went to a different country and a different religion and married different way every year. They lived up to that commitment. Talks about those different places that they went, the different ceremonies, and how it affected their lives. And it was really utterly fascinating. Being somebody that is a single person, it was really fascinating to see the effect that it had on their relationship and their marriage. It was really beautiful. Anyway, they worked, the two of them, himself, Ken, and his wife Maddie, worked really hard on this business, Age Wave, which grew to a really big corporation. And then they lost it all through a series of circumstances, as life would have it. And they ended up building it back into the smaller company that it is right now. I mean, they, kept their name and they started over again, but he still has Age Wave. It just is not this huge corporation that it was growing into, because he was really working for a lot of the big corporations and consulting about the aging population. And that all kind of ended, and he went in a whole different track. So anyway, his book really reminds us that it's never too late to grow. It's never too late to learn. And it's never too late to make a difference. And that really is the point of why I'm having this conversation today. I hope you feel that way about your life. The book is really a testament to the idea that aging is natural and it's beautiful and it's a part of life. And don't let it be a stopping point. Don't let it be something that makes you complacent. Use it as a time that you build your own legacy. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you can do that in just a minute. Okay, so we're going to reflect on the opportunities that baby boomers have now to really leave a legacy of their true selves. So have you ever really wondered what your own purpose is beyond work and family? Um,
All the time.
all that we do. We talk about
All
it.
the time.
We talk about it all the time, and it shifts. But yep,
Mm.
there you'll find there's some common places in there where you feel called to be of service. You feel called to help people. You feel called in, using the things that you know about. For us, for Chris and I, it's been yoga because that's where we've been studying our whole lives. So that's why we talk about yoga, but we talk about it in a very practical sense of it's not just postures and breathing and all of the amazing things that it offers, but it's how we practically use it to ground and have better quality lives and to really live in a way that is fulfilling, that's productive, and that's authentic because it's who we are. It's what we came here to do. So this is an opportunity. That's what I want to say about aging. Aging is an opportunity for you to play a vital role in society. Be curious, be radically curious, and be committed to love, and do something with it. Do something with your own life that is going to make a difference and leave an amazing legacy for your kids.
I would say one thing too, our generation really did a lot for women's rights.
Yes,
And there's an opportunity now because we're still a large generation. There's an opportunity now because there are some factions that are trying to set back some of those rights.
No doubt about it.
We fought so hard for it. So it's an opportunity for us to again stand up, and even as a group, because we are a large number of people. So right. I remember being at that Women's March several years ago, and a woman there said to me, can you believe that we're still marching for the same things?
I I see those little old ladies in the news, and they've got a picture of themselves from like the 60s or the 70s, holding signs, and then they from now.
Right, same time, yeah. So there's plenty of opportunities.
Whatever your nature is, and whatever you feel your calling is,
right, absolutely.
Chances out there to really help and serve. Yeah, and in that talk when we were talking about Maggie Kuhn and we were talking about the Grey Panthers, there's lots of opportunities there, to help other people.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind too. So, what we know about having practiced yoga as long as we have is that love is really a powerful force in the universe.
Incredibly powerful. It is the most powerful force. It transforms anything, any situation.
And it can lead us to have a real meaningful life. Having that commitment to be in a loving space and to expressing love. We really think about the verb. It really is a very, very powerful force. So just discovering what you're uniquely good at. It gives you direction, gives you motivation, it gives you inspiration, So it's really a gift that can elevate your energy and your own vitality. So there you go. I'm gonna wrap up today's episodes by asking a couple of questions. They're actually just questions to reflect on. So if you got a pen, I'll probably go a little too fast for you to write them all down, but you can always go back and
go back to it. Yeah.
Go back to it, or I can put them in the show notes. I'm going to have a bunch of links in the show notes, actually, to some of the interviews that Ken did in his book, Radical Curiosity, that I think you'll find are really fascinating. But here are some questions. These are basically for you to think about, okay, if I don't really know what my legacy is or what I want to leave or want to add to what I think my current idea of leaving a legacy is, these are some questions that will really poke you into thinking deeper about what it is that you want to leave for your kids. Because this is, I don't know about you, but this is a real emotional and important subject for me when I think about my own kids, there was one point when my son asked me to make sure I leave videos so he can see me talking and he can never forget what I look like and what I sound like, and as emotional as that makes me feel, it makes me really want to say the things that are going to be important to his family, when he turns those videos on, he feels good about it, not sad that I'm physically not there. I'll always be in his heart, but there'll be words that he can live by. And that's important, So these are some of the questions to reflect on. This is an interesting one. What is your favorite childhood memory?
Hmm.
What if you recorded a video of that experience for your children and so they could listen to it in the future?
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I thought would be a really cute thing to leave my son. I'm going to do these things. I actually thought about putting something together where we could have like a digital product where we could have people just come in and do, certain videos that would be highlights of their lives and the things that they want to leave their legacy. It could be a whole like leave it, like people write a memoir or, about their own life to leave for their kids. This would be a cool way to do it digitally, to just leave these beautiful videos for your children and for your grandchildren that think about people that have never met their grandparents. I never met my grandparents. I'd love to see them on tape. That'd be so fascinating. That's my ancestry. That'd be really, really interesting to see. So that's the first question. One of your favorite childhood memories. This is number 2. Is there something you always dreamed about doing, but you haven't done it yet?
Hmm.
This is what our podcast is all about.
Do it. Do it now.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say. Do the Nike thing. Just do it. Do not deny yourself any longer. Just go ahead and do it. Okay. So third question. If you're over 60, have you considered your new purpose in life beyond work and family? Some of you may have a trouble figuring that out. That's actually one of the things that I coach about a lot. Get clear on what it is that you feel like your purpose is. And that answer is typically coming from inside. If you're not used to connecting with that, practice connecting with the inner self so you can hear what that is. Okay, next one. What do you wish more people knew about you? I love that question. I mean, there's lots of things about me that I wish people knew about. I'd love to do a video just on that. So, you innately have skills and talents that you probably take for granted, that you almost always take for granted because it seems natural to you, that other people will go, that's amazing that you can do that. But you're like, well, that seems very natural and normal. But those are the things that, make you who you are, make you uniquely you. That would be a great video to do as well. Okay, so here's another one. How can you help your kids, friends, and family make peace with your eventual passing? I know that's not an easy question to think about or to really look at, but something that somebody who's writing like I said, a memoir for their family, you have to face those questions. You have to think about, how do I want them to think and feel about me when I'm gone? I don't want them sitting around crying. I want them having a great time. And I want them to remember the good times that we
All the
had
good stuff that they got from me. Yeah.
and the good times we had together. Remind
Yeah.
them of that. Remind them of that, let them see your shiny face, laughing and smiling and being with you. Okay. What are the most important things you want your family and friends to remember about you? That's a whole other area that you probably never think about. Okay, and just one more. What will be your final legacy? How can you create a path from success to significance? It's a journey. You have to think about that one. That doesn't come real easily. If you don't feel like you're there already, just sit down and think about it. Where am I now? And where would I be if I felt like my life really had an impact on people and played a real significant role in at least my family and kids' lives? So there's a chance to do some reflection. There you go. That was fun. Thank you for joining us on this journey today.
A lot of fun. A lot of food for thought there.
How often do we think about that? Our generation
Yeah.
and what effect that they've had
Right.
on the world,
So important. Yeah.
Yeah, we've lived a lot of years and we've done it to the best of our abilities. And yeah, we've made some mistakes, and the millennials I know are ticked at us from some of the things that we're leaving, on the planet. But I want you to be inspired and hopeful and know that whatever's going on, you have the strength and the wisdom and the power to make it different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, okay, so if you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe. Go to our YouTube channel. It helps us. If you hit subscribe, leave a review, share it with your friends. That helps us get the podcast out to more people. Okay, so
Yes.
we'll be back next week with a inspiring conversation for you. And until then, keep living in radical curiosity, please, with love in
Have
your heart.
fun.
Bye.
Bye.